REED-BBS, BBS. There's only one Ricky Hatton. One Ricky Hatton. Walking along, singing a song. Walking in a Hatton wonderland. There's only one Ricky Hatton. One Ricky Hatton. Walking along, singing a song. Walking in a Hatton wonderland. Ricky the Hitman Hatton. I learned of Hatton's passing during my Naoya Inoue MJ Akhmadaliev live stream this past Sunday, somewhere between 6 and 7 in the AM. And I told Mrs. Reed, and she was like, "Who the fuck is Ricky Hatton?" So I started singing the song, and she instantly remembered. Ricky the Hitman Hatton. Pressure, passion, determination, pace, energy, body punching. Those are just some of the words and attributes that come to mind when I think of Ricky Hatton. Very quick, very underrated, feet work, athletic. Ricky Hatton was very athletic. And in history, in boxing history, there haven't been many aggressive fighters who like to engage, who prefer to attack. Our sport isn't littered with guys who attack from an athletic base like Ricky Hatton did. Not many of them. Yes, there's Roberto Duran. Yes, there's Aaron Pryor. They immediately spring to mind. But typically, aggressive attacking fighters tend to plod. They tend to plod. And athleticism, if a fighter walks in the gym with athleticism, that's typically used as an excuse to utilize the ring to maintain distance, to counterpunch, etc. And that was not the case with Ricky Hatton. He used his superpowers for good, not evil, in that way, you could say. But yeah, man, Ricky Hatton, he was found dead in his home in Manchester, England. Manchester police confirmed that his body was found at 6:45 a.m. Sunday morning and that his death is not being treated as suspicious. No foul play at hand, they don't believe. But man was just 46 years old. That's sad, bruh. Hatton, former world champion at junior welterweight and briefly at welterweight. He's one of Great Britain's best ever, man. And perhaps the most popular British fighter ever. He was also attempting a ring return in December. I wasn't quite sure if this was a legit fight or an exhibition, but he was coming back to the ring. Hatton also openly struggled with his mental health, substance abuse, suicidal thoughts, and my man would have turned 47 in October. This is very tragic news. On some boxing shit, I remember his fights with old men like Freddie Pendleton, Ben Tackey, Ray Oliveira, Cool Vince Phillips. All these guys were good in their day. Hatton came along and caught them at the tail end and was beating the brakes off these dudes. But I wasn't impressed. So much so that when Hatton signed to face Kostya Tszyu, I not only picked Kostya Tszyu, I picked Kostya Tszyu to stop Ricky Hatton in the first fucking round. That's one of my worst fight predictions ever. So, needless to say, I would never forget Ricky Hatton, because in that same fight where I predicted he would lose via first round KO, he stopped Kostya Tszyu in the 11th round, made Kostya Tszyu quit. He broke Kostya Tszyu. And that would prove to be Hatton's finest hour, the highlight of his career. There were also bouts with Carlos Mausa, Juan Urango, Jose Luis Castillo, Louis Collazo, Juan Lascano, Paulie Malignaggi. Hatton is most known for his L's, though. The L's to Floyd and Pacquiao. The Floyd fight in particular, it introduced modern American fight fans, to rabid, enthusiastic, emotional, and charged up, and yes, even drunken British fight fans. You see, in the case of Hatton, British fight fans traveled across the pond in droves, like thousands of them, to witness Hatton versus Floyd, because most of the British fans didn't even have tickets to the fight itself. Yet they took over MGM Grand and Las Vegas proper for that particular weekend, and any weekend that Ricky Hatton was in the States. His fight crowds took over. They were the atmosphere. We would later see Tyson Fury, Carl Froch, AnthonyJoshua, and we'd see other British fighters travel abroad, bringing fervent fight crowds with them. From what I can remember, this all started with Ricky Hatton, though. I heard rumors back in the day of the MGM Grand running out of beer during Floyd Hatton fight week, and I was reminded of this reading some of the articles since Ricky Hatton's passing. Blue Moon. Blue Moon. It's the anthem of Manchester City. Blue Moon was adopted by Manchester City soccer/football fans, Manchester United Football Club. Ricky Hatton was born in Manchester, and as I said, he died in Manchester. And he was himself a rabid fan of Man U. So much so that he rocked light blue boxing trunks every fight, and Ricky Hatton ring walked to the same Blue Moon anthem that his favorite soccer team, his favorite football team, their theme song. That's what Ricky Hatton used. This is part of what endeared Ricky Hatton to his fans. He was truly one of the lads, as they say. He was one of the lads. He frequented the pub to have a pint, and he played darts and shit. All that typical, stereotypical British party boy shit. That was Ricky Hatton. He was very much a British everyman. The devastating L to Pacquiao, that exacerbated Hatton's struggles with drinking and drugging and mental health. To be dominated like he was by Pacquiao at his best weight, Hatton's best weight, a weight Hatton was undefeated at coming in, by a much smaller man like Pacquiao. That was something Hatton never quite recovered from. Mind, spirit, and body were all never quite the same after the Pacquiao loss. The impact is undeniable, though. Impact is impact, and Hatton's was undeniable on the sport. And beyond his fan base, I personally admired Ricky Hatton's ambition. You see, his promoter, Frank Warren, was notorious back then for protecting British fighters. He would set them all up with a WBO belt and shit, and then he'd milk the living shit out of hometown title defenses. Frank Warren did this for years with the likes of Steve Collins and Chris Eubank Sr., Nigel Benn to a degree, Joe Calzaghe for the early portion of Calzaghe's career, and others. In fact, seeing the respect that Ricky Hatton received from American fans for breaking this mold, for wanting to fuck around and find out to see how good he really was on the world scale, Hatton's refusal to sit safely in the UK, where he could have reigned supreme for as long as he wanted to, this influenced Joe Calzaghe. Make no mistake. I don't know if Calzaghe's ever come out and said it, but it undoubtedly influenced him. Because Calzaghe, at the end of his career, he finally started making that same trek across the pond to America to legitimize his own place in boxing history. And though he didn't bring Ricky Hatton-sized crowds, he did bring a bit of a British following across the pond with him. So yeah, man, R.I.P. Ricky Hatton. There's a brother in the States that will miss what you brought to the game, bruh. Rest easy, mate. There's only one Ricky Hatton, y'all. REED-BBS, BBS. Blackbird Sugar. Bachelor's in Boxing Studies. Television! Fred Sanford of the Fistic Arts. When all is said and done, there's nothing left to say or do.